Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday, you guys. I am super excited to be here today, and I'm super excited about today's conversation because today we get to learn from somebody that is fabulous. Honestly, you guys are here for a treat. We are gonna get to share space with Monique, who is gonna be joining here in a minute. I'm gonna let her introduce herself because she's coming all kinds of things, but I really believe that this conversation of healing trauma and all the things that we're going to touch upon is going to be of service to you. So let's see if she can join. There you are.
Hi. How are you?
I am great. How about yourself?
Doing great.
Awesome. Well, I am super excited to have this conversation, and I am so glad that you agreed to come into this space to talk about something that I think we are very both passionate about, but we go about it in very completely different ways. So I think I love learning from you and from everything that you do. So why don't you tell everybody first who you are, what is it that you're working on lately, and then we can go from there.
Excited. Hi, my name is Monique Gomez. I am a licensed massage therapist, Reiki master, and trauma and resilience life coach with a master's degree in social work. So what I'm currently working on is a book. And that's why I've reached out to Telma very recently because come to find out, her and our books are similar but different in different ways. I also talk about culture in my book, but I mostly focus on trauma, generational trauma, and the family unit systems. And so it's a passion project for sure. I just love working on it. But yes, that's my big announcement.
Yes, and honestly, it should be big. A book is, and I can speak now from experience, is definitely an opportunity to do a lot of healing in your own story by sitting in it and going back to that. So the fact that you are aware that it's talking about the generational trauma, how, like, why is it that people don't talk about it often? Like, I feel like it's such a disservice because it's so real, and I have found that it's real to all of us. I thought it was just me, clearly, but it's not.
Everyone, literally everyone goes through this because, and this is what I talk about in my first chapter, we're not all from this land. We all migrated from somewhere. Even if you don't feel connected to that, we have a history of trauma simply from coming to this country, adapting their rules and their laws and their policies, which created trauma, which created like you're talking about. We don't talk about Bruno. Like it's the same concept because we have to follow their rules.
And
And
it's so, like, we're so conditioned to it that there's a song to it. Like, in that movie Encanto, it
yeah,
talks about, we don't talk about, we just don't talk about anything that goes against the culture, the tradition, and the way that we are set to do things, right? And like,
exactly.
honestly, when I watched that movie, I was like, man, this is a heavy loaded topic that they're touching upon here, right?
It's
And all of
huge.
the songs, I'm like, someone give me the chills. And my kids are like singing them. And I'm like, oh my God, maybe we shouldn't be so proud of that song.
I love it. No, but we're starting more and more people around me and even just your audience and my audience, like they know it's there. And even just speaking it, whether it's my book that we're coming up, your book that's launching very, very soon on the 27th. It's there, it's around us.
Right. Yes. And I'm so grateful for the spaces that we are creating because I feel like this conversation, honestly, at least in my position, I'm not coming from a place of judgment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even mad about it. I'm no
Right.
longer blaming it. I just wanna, like, can we just talk about it? Can we just, like, realize that it's a thing?
It's so funny. And I'm the opposite, where I still have a lot of anger and resentment. And I go through my story in the book, but it's really this problem with myself and authority. And so I work through that obviously in the book, and still even to this day, asking for help is such a huge part of working on the shit. Sorry to curse, but
No,
I
please
curse.
don't be sorry. You say whatever it is that you need to say, okay? There's no limitations here, but it is so true. And I have to tell you, for what it's worth, though, I was pretty angry for. And in my book, if you get to read it, you will feel like the fact that I was disappointed, frustrated,
Mm-hmm.
angry at my parents for moving me here and not giving me a like rundown of what was gonna happen.
Right.
How was like, where's the manual? Where's the manual? But then at the same time, we become adults, we go to school, we la la la, and we still don't have a manual, right?
Yep. Yep.
Like, so all these expectations and all of these, like, oh no, but you should go to college, and but you should have a corporate job, but you should have a way to provide. All of them come from honestly a place I'm sure they care and they've meant to keep us safe. But man,
Mm-hmm.
like, can you at least give me like a how to, not just the goal, like the end goal here?
Yeah. Yeah. And there's so many, even just speaking to my friends about this same concept, like they don't want to go to college. They want to follow their heart. They want to open a business. They want to just chill in their life and not be so stressed out. And that's what this society brings is so much stress and trauma. Um, but yeah, I totally feel that it's we got to follow these rules or else we don't fit in or else we're not hitting XYZ success.
I know. I feel like these rules, these expectations, um, this conditioning that we
Mm,
ourselves in, regardless of your culture, because I have found.
yes.
So first, yes, like I said, I really thought it was just me, and then I'm hearing your story, and you had a completely different upbringing, and I'm like, man, we are talking about the same thing. We're angry about the same thing, and we're healing the same generational trauma, and
Mm-hmm.
yet from completely different points of the world, for different points of the world. But um, why don't we define trauma? Like, how would you define it? Because I feel like it has a negative connotation, and that's another thing that I would just like to redefine. So we should
Mm.
probably set the record straight to where how we're describing trauma on this life, and then if you want to go Google it and do your own research, do that. Stay curious of what those words mean, because sometimes you just get triggered and you don't even know why. Do your research. But how would you define trauma, Monique?
Okay, I'm going to rechange it simply from how you're talking about making it a positive connotation. I'm going to call it um, experiences in life because that's what it is, right? Like our nervous system is activated. It senses fear, whether it's real or perceived or pretend. It senses fear. That's what our body does. It's biological.
Mm-hmm.
And so trauma is really just experiences in life.
That trigger that fear, right? That trigger that, or that possible fear, like,
Right.
yes.
Potential fear. Mm-hmm.
But right, and like, so it's not a negative thing, because we all go through that. We all go through times in which we're like, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna die today, or or that moment in which you're just like, all right, I'm suddenly out of breath, sweating, and cold all at the same time, and I have no idea
Mm-hmm.
why.
Or I didn't finish this, and oh my God, I'm gonna get fired, and my kids are not gonna be fed, and spiraling out of control because of that nervous system response of fear, perceived fear, and then our easy brain that wants to go to like the scariest, worst option possible.
Right. So thank you for doing that, because I feel like that's where a lot of people are like sometimes, and I have found myself doing this, so that's why I'm gonna point it out. Yes, yes, I have completely stopped listening to something because I was like, I don't have trauma, like, and then when I really actually decided to just stop resisting it and stop kind of like pretending like that life is great,
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, nobody told me.
No, what? I thought I had this perfect life. I thought I was going good. I thought I followed all the rules. No,
Right.
that it doesn't matter.
I've been sitting on this box this whole time, listening to all the instructions and all the to-dos that people are giving me. And why do I feel this way? Why do I feel like my core hurts? Why is it
Mm,
feel, like, so yes, I hate to break it to you, but if you're one that, like me, that wants to put in time, you're like, oh, no, trauma is just big things that happen that are like don't be so dramatic. Actually, yes, Google it. It's not. It doesn't have to be extraordinary for you to have some trauma on it. And the sooner that you realize it, the sooner you can actually heal it. But if we continue to go through the world and saying like, no, 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 it's not a big deal, it's not a big deal, it's not a big deal, you will just continue to make your box a little tighter.
Yeah.
A little tighter.
And again, that starts with more fear. And then people feel stuck, like you're talking about this box scenario of being stuck in a box. Like, how do you get out? You look at what you're ignoring, what you're avoiding this whole time is the way out.
Can we just have like a moment of acknowledging that? Because how easy is it? And the world gives you lots of opportunities to get sidetracked, to get distracted, to be like, oh no, I'm too busy, but I'm too busy trying to fit in this other box because I want to like become somebody else. And
or there's not enough money and I can't afford this.
Right.
But I need it, but I want it, but it's not primary importance right now.
Yeah. I don't have the time for that right now. I don't like, oh, it's not a priority, or maybe next year. And yet, this is something that is wearing heavy on you every single day. And Monique can actually point it out in your body. Right?
Yeah, yeah. And I do that with a lot of clients because it's so simple. It's simple daily tasks that we do, whether it's driving to work, sitting at your desk. Like you're not doing very much. Nothing's like harmful happening to you, but your body is sensing the stress and feeling it and then tightening all your muscles and reducing your blood flow and all these things that making you reach for that triple burger heart attack. You know what I mean? Like just all these precipitating factors that just rotate and rotate.
I love the fact that you just touch on the fact that a lot of us eat our feelings because yes, we do. And again, the faster we can accept that, the faster we can actually deal with it. But yes, so it's such a really fast way to try to fix it or to try to console it, but it's not. It's like putting a pound of a band-aid in on you.
Yeah. Yeah. Ugh. I love having this conversation. Sorry, I just like want to say that. I love this. I love this because more people need to know, more people need to have that awareness in their body and their brain. Be like, oh man, my shoulders are kind of tight. Let me stretch them out. Let me roll and let me take a breath right here. Like I'm just driving.
Yes. How often do we underestimate the power of breathing? Like, why do we really think that it just because your body is actually walking and you're functioning doesn't need that extra deep breath to like come back to itself? Like, sometimes we're just functioning on like automatic and you don't realize that you just drove home without 1% of consciousness, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or and then like I can totally relate to this because I not so long ago I got in a car accident and
That's right.
it was scary. It was scary, but again I was like, it's not a big deal. I'm safe. The truck is kept me safe. Great. And yet every time that I drove, it wasn't far, and it didn't even take a freeway, and I would be so exhausted getting home. Like just kind of like, oh my gosh, this is like I have to do something about this because I cannot. I'd rather walk than deal with that feeling of like that was exhausted. And I'm talking about walking in 100 degrees weather.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. It's still summertime here.
Right. Right. Well, we're working on like welcoming the fall, but we're teasing the idea right now.
Oh, Arizona. No, and I agree with that. I think your body remembers and your brain remembers. And so when you get out of the car, you're like, why am I so exhausted? Oh yeah, I had that really scary experience not too long ago. That literally, I mean, I'm sure for a whole week you were stressed out on top of whatever already stress you had that it was after your retreat, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. So it was funny timing. But it's interesting how that we don't take the time to realize that and to give ourselves the permission to be like, I am not okay to do that right now. Like I really rather not. I want to give myself the gift of compassion and time and grace and like heal this little fear that now I have attached to a wheel. that I didn't do it in purpose, and a grown as adult that I have a license, right? But
Right.
yet, like the stress attached to it was just not welcoming anymore, and I had
Mhm.
to do something about it. But I couldn't until I faced the fact that I was like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I need to do this.
The realization, the light bulb moment of, holy shit, this really impacted me. And I've been ignoring it, or I've identified it as this huge impact in my life. And now it's impacting my body and my functioning. Because you don't even want to, you want to walk in 100-degree weather. Tell me you'll die of heat stroke.
I know if it's not one thing, it's another, guys. But with my point is like a lot of us just avoid that, avoid that acknowledgement of like I've been resisting this, I've been ignoring this,
Mm-hmm.
and so this is an invitation to just realize and check in with your body. What is going on? What is holding tight? Why is it holding tight?
Mm-hmm.
And not from a place of judgment, right? Not from a
Right.
place like, oh my gosh, I cannot even know my body right. Uh, but from a place of like, gosh, there's something here that I should probably not ignore it.
Mm-hmm. And I love this because massage and Reiki both identify this awareness in the body and in the energetic fields because things get stuck, not just physically, but energetically. And
Mm-hmm.
so having someone to facilitate that, whether it's an energy worker, even sound healing, there's so many more modalities out there now uh, that you can't keep ignoring your body.
Right. But you touched on something before, so I'm gonna ask you, put you on the spot. This is what I
Go
do.
for it.
I'm
I'm
really,
ready.
but you talked about how so you offer these modalities, but
Mm-hmm.
you're also one to struggle asking for help and feeling like not like we shouldn't. So how do you go about finding harmony on that to where you can seek the help that your body can really use?
Yeah, it's about having that awareness. And I talk about this a lot throughout the book because there's different behaviors and thoughts that are going to open that awareness door that says, hey, this is a problem. You need to do something. For me, I've identified that it's when I stay home a lot, when I sleep in extra in bed, or when I come home from work and I don't text anybody or talk to anyone, when I'm feeling some sadness and I'm listening to sad songs. There's different instances that I've noticed where, okay, I'm getting into my little Monique tunnel and I don't want to ask for help, or I feel really sad, I'm not reaching out. Um, and then when you do reach out, like this happened last week, I was in my little tunnel and writing. I don't know if you experienced this, Telma, with writing the book. Like I was just like, oh, and especially with the trauma container, it was like, oh God, let me just forget my life right now. I reached out and I got out of the house and I met a friend because I was like, I can't be here anymore. I cannot. This energy is just stuck, and this isn't my life. My life is XYZ, and I need to move. And so even just like that stuckness that we mentioned earlier, like being aware, like, oh, I'm stuck right now. I need to do something. Maybe
Right.
let's call someone, or let's, I don't know, watch a funny video, what have you. Go outside, change your
Right.
environment.
Yeah, and move your body for the love of God. If you're feeling stuck, the first thing that you should be doing is
Yes.
like move your body. Move it because we are all energy, and then the sooner that you move it, the soon. Not that you're gonna like move your body, dance a good song, and then find the solution, but
Nope.
you will feel better into
Mm-hmm.
and you will move out of your tunnel to where a solution is actually an option versus if you get stagnant and stuck, there's no movement there, so therefore there's no progress, right?
Yes. It's so great. And even just with the blood flow, like it just opens that awareness up. And I swear there's probably some link, I don't know the research on this, but like it's definitely connected to the cognitive, prefrontal, logical part of your brain because it opens up that center and you're like, wow, I'm really whatever it is you're identifying, right? Like, oh, I need to ask for help more, or this felt really good. I need to do this every freaking day, even if it's 5 minutes lifting my weights or moving, doing some yoga poses,
Right.
and that's that logical brain that says, hello, bitch, move your body. You're
Yeah.
hurting, you're stuck because you're stagnant.
Yes, it's actually just honoring the fact that your body is begging you for something, right? And honoring the need. Then you can say, "All right, okay, got it. I'm gonna go like do something." But that I love the topic of awareness because I feel like it really is such a gift, but it's not one that everybody's open to receiving. So
Mm.
like awareness is an invitation. It's available to everybody and it's free. And you
Yep.
can open that door whenever you feel ready, or if you want to have your 5 minutes of bravery a day and just like, okay, I want to be aware for the next hour and observe yourself from like an outside perspective to realize how you're being perceived or how you're feeling about something that you even say. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's those quickly tiny little moments that you can assess and like, I like that. I did good there. And notice that and celebrate that. Or be like, oh wow, I could have handled that better. How do I want to handle that in the future? Because it's gonna happen again, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's in those. It doesn't take long.
Right. And that's what I found too with working both in my previous counseling role and in the coaching, as well as my massage container, right? Because I'm bringing this awareness to them, like, hey, you have this. Hey, this is happening. I'm sensing a lot of this, and they don't know what to do with that information, you know. And so in the book, I do this too with my massage clients. I'll give them reflective questions, right? So I'm trying to think of one from the book. Has this changed from your childhood, right? So like put something in there. Um, what caused this knot on your right shoulder? What could have caused this knot on your right shoulder? Were you on the phone like this, and were you doing dishes like this? And because that's even just movement. Like you said, being aware of what your body's doing, not just how you're talking or how you're presenting yourself, but what's your body doing? Are you sitting crooked in your chair? Are you slumped over on your left side? We all have those
Yeah,
patterns, and it's again, the body awareness, but also emotional awareness in um, trauma education. They call it interceptive awareness. So knowing what's really going on inside your body, your thoughts, your beliefs, and even like your physical body as well, like the
yeah.
tightness that's happening.
Absolutely. And you have and so this book is coming out soon. I'm super excited for it. I don't know exactly when, but maybe you can tell us a little bit more of that. But right now, and a book that really helped me with my own healing journey on the trauma is The Body Keeps the Score.
Yes.
That book was deep work. And I just want to say it as I'm recommending the book, it is work. So it's not just a book that you read and I'm like, oh, that was a good read. It actually is an invitation to do your own healing through that book. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not research. It's great. It's great knowledge because then you feel very seen and you realize
Mm-hmm.
all have trauma and that your body is a container of it. So you can actually do something about it. But it sounds like Monique's book is gonna have a little bit of that, and it may be a little bit
I
of,
do.
of an easier read because I can tell you for a personal point of view that The Body Keeps the Score was like
Difficult.
it was
There's a
hardcore
lot
for
of
me.
science. It's a lot of sciencey, and I have it on. I was actually reading it last night and highlighting some stuff for the book. So it's just poignant and hilarious that you brought up that book. It's a huge milestone for the oh my god, psychiatry, psychological, mental health field, because they have all this research now, and he compiled it into this amazing book that's easy to read, right? But it's hard to get through some of the science stuff. So what I did, and this is a recommendation if you guys do get the book, I do highly suggest it, um, is to skip over some of the science, because there's paragraphs and things at the end of the chapter, end of the section, that'll say client examples. And so it's specific things about a veteran with PTSD or a mom with high anxiety. And so those pieces I think are important to skip through. It's not a test. You don't have to read page to page. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right. So yes, I think that's a fabulous idea because sometimes when I read it after the story, I would be like so sad sometimes, and that's such an empath over here that I'm like, oh my God, how do we live in this world? And I'm over here trying to heal my own trauma. So
Yes.
definitely do yourself a favor and do what's good for you. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't concentrate on trauma. And like I'm a life coach and I'm here to support many people, but I do recognize when there's some, and I highly recommend that it's healed.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you're ready and with the gentle and compassion that is needed. But when is this book coming out?
We don't know yet. My intention was December, but I think that might be pushed to January. So definitely some sort of launch, more talking about it in the next couple months, and for sure some sort of plan December, January of
All
when
right.
it will be out and date.
I'm excited about it because in your book, I think we're gonna we. It's funny because I don't. My book does not really touch on that, but it does touch on generational trauma,
Mm-hmm.
and that's because that's something that I completely have, and I'm still in the process of like healing and understanding and
Yeah.
acknowledging fully, but it is amazing how such different journeys can have so much in common and yet come from completely different points of view.
Yes. We talked about this with the language. So I am fully Mexican American. So my mom and dad are full Mexican, but I was raised speaking English, even though we heard English and Spanish because we grew up with our grandma, my mom's mom. She stopped speaking Spanish because she didn't want us to have an accent. And so a lot of anger and resentment happened later on in the years when I realized I probably could have used that language, that skill, to communicate with people in my community, especially with social work and the low income families that I was working with.
Yeah, for sure. And then in my own story, I moved to here. I was born and raised in Mexico City, completely understanding and owning Spanish to a whole different level, and moved here not knowing that I didn't speak the language of a whole new country. And
Mm-hmm.
and there was a lot of anger and resentment because why would you put me in a situation where I cannot even communicate, right?
Right.
And then having to live with this accent of the fact that I don't belong because I have an accent and people look at me different and they don't understand me, and like how can I lose this accent in order to fit in, like so
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of questioning on why, how, and I think that regardless of your story, there's gonna be a lot of times in which you ask why and how, and giving yourself the grace to realize that it is part of your journey, and it comes with a lesson and a gift that allows you to show
Right.
just as you are today.
Yeah. And there's benefits because even, and that's what's so great about going backwards, even with your history and with my own, we see the little nuggets of like, oh, that was a lesson that I learned in this. This is something I'm not going to do. And I talk to parents in the book too. This is something I'm not going to do with my kids, right? And a lot of parents I've worked with say that. And it's so heart, like heart exploding to hear that because we're already breaking those generational chains in
Right.
in different ways. And so it's just beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the moment that you become a parent, you realize that sometimes something that you say I'm never gonna do comes out,
Yeah.
not planned, completely unexpected, and that's trauma showing up. That is
Mm-hmm.
very much a moment of healing, that an invitation of a lesson to where like, oh, I thought you said you were not going to do that. Why am I doing
Mm-hmm.
that? How do I heal it? How do I really break the shame to where
Mm-hmm.
I'm not only saying I'm not going to do it, but I actually embody it.
Right.
And
Right.
like you really do have to go through healing the trauma in order to keep up your promise of breaking the chain, the generation.
Mm-hmm. And I always tell this to people because it doesn't fully eradicate, right? Like I said, trauma is a life experience. And so when we talk about healing trauma, and people have asked me this recently, I say trauma doesn't go away. We have a different and new ways of working with it. And that's why I talk a lot about in my coaching program working with your nervous system because that's what made you, yell at your kid or snap or spank their bottoms because I talk about my brother was spanked and so I was too.
I was
um,
too.
and so like you spank your kid, right? And then you feel terrible, but that was a reaction that was biological from fear, anger, embarrassment, upset, whatever the feeling was.
Hmm.
And so it's biological, it's natural, and it's going to keep happening, like you said, unless we put some tools in place and understand that, well, I need to calm down right now.
Right. It's like honestly, it's your subconscious taking action and keeping you safe from everything that you have lived and learned and experienced, right? So,
Yes.
but understanding that is only part of you and that you can rewrite it is where the
Yes.
hope is at. Because
Yes.
yes, we actually, a lot of us go through life living in our subconscious, reacting constantly from what we know we have lived, we have our experiences or trauma, and then we expect to be like, oh no, I didn't want to do that. Okay, then heal it. Like actually really acknowledge what you're doing. Take a big breath, because in order for you to make a conscious response, it only takes 6 seconds. So you have the gift of one, I don't know how fast you breathe, but depending on that, maybe 1, 2, 3. Don't breathe like that. Just try to calm your body to where you can actually choose how is it that you want to respond to something from a conscious, not the subconscious anymore. So I could geek on this all day long, because
Yes.
it's available to all of us. It's just practice. It's acknowledging it. It's awareness, right? It starts with awareness of like, oh my gosh, I said I was never gonna do this, and here I am. So like, it like, without the judgment, because you are gonna have those times. I'm gonna have those times, and I've been in the healing journey forever. But like you said, it doesn't go away. It just shows differently in different occasions with different people, with different triggers. So giving yourself the grace to know that we're all work in progress.
Love that. I think that's the best message to end on.
Perfect. Well, yes, I'm super excited. Thank you so much for coming into this live and sharing your life, your work. What is it that you do? I'm super excited about this book that is coming out in next year. But mine is coming out so soon. Like
the 27th.
The 27th. So yes, 7. We are counting days, and I'm so excited that I'm like, but what day are we on?
Look at the calendar every time.
Yes. But like, nah, mine is a little bit more of like a collection of stories that invite you to reflect, in which you can start making those choices on how you want to show up, one little thing at a time. And I wouldn't have gotten this far if it wasn't for a community like Monique and help, and like the coaching and the mentorship and that I have had to seek. So yes, it does require asking for help. It does require asking for what you need. And so I hope that you guys check it out and find it as what it is, an invitation to reflect.
I love it. I'm so excited to purchase.
I'm excited to purchase yours. So we're going to have to, Monique is going to have to come back to actually give us a date and a little bit more of the tease of chapter 1. But in the meantime, we'll take that. And thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for everybody that joined. I don't know if you have any last minute questions for Monique before we wrap this up, but we definitely appreciate you hearing us very passionately talk about something that is so close to our heart, right?
So good. It's so beautiful. I will come back whenever you want me. Telma, thank you so much for having me.
All right. Well, thank you. Bye, everybody. And until next time.
Bye.
Bye.